Alright, last time we tackled the Chinese language puzzle and introduced Winchi. Ready for another linguistic head scratcher? Here it is. Should we call the Taiwanese language, well, Taiwanese? Sounds simple, right? But just like our Chinese question, this one opens up a whole discussion about history, identity, and respect. You might have heard some people say, hey, the real Taiwanese language belongs to the indigenous people. Your language isn't truly Taiwanese. Stop calling it that. And you know what? The underlying sentiment about acknowledging indigenous history comes from a very real place. Look, there's a heavy history here. People like me, whose ancestors came from Winchi, old indigenous Formosans, big time. We need to talk about land rights, historical runs, and ensure their languages survive. I'm all for that, seriously. And this isn't just talk. I have a 10-year-long history of being a radical supporter of Formosan indigenous rights, not just with words, but with action. This is crucial context, but acknowledging this important history leads to the core question. Does it mean the name Taiwanese from my mother tongue is somehow illegitimate? Is the name itself something stolen or inappropriate? To figure that out, we need to take a quick history detour. Forget everything you think you know about the name Taiwan for a second. Let's jump back a few centuries. Take a look at this old map of Formosa. See this island? Back then, most people call it Formosa, but if we zoom in a bit, right there on the southwest coast, there's a place, a settlement called Taiwan, the precursor to today's Tâi-lam city, and that was Taiwan initially. A place, a city, not the whole island. Now, think about how languages often get named. We have Shanghainese from Shanghai, Cantonese from Canton, and Hokkien-ōe, Jiangji-ōe, Eimeng-ōe, Zhuan-ji-ōe, Taiwan-ōe. Turns out it is actually super common in this part of the world to name a language after the main city or region that it is spoken in. And guess what language people in the city of Taiwan spoke? Exactly, the language we now call Taiwanese. So originally, Taiwanese, or Taiwan-ōe, meant the language spoken in and around that specific city named Taiwan. It was much later, during the Japanese colonial era, that the name Taiwan got stretched to cover the whole island, replacing Formosa on official maps. And one more century after that, people across the island started identifying themselves as Taiwanese in a broader sense. That shift is a fascinating one because 200 years ago, the line was very clear. 200 years ago, you would have to speak Taiwanese to be Taiwanese. That's a whole different situation from today. So, when someone says another language, be it Hokkien or an indigenous Formosan language, has more right to the name Taiwanese, they're missing this crucial piece of history. Based on where this name originated, my mother tongue has the most direct historical claim to being named after the original city of Taiwan. After all, that was a city built by people speaking my mother tongue. It is a historical fact tied to that specific location. Therefore, is the name Taiwanese on the list of things we owe indigenous Formosans? Based on this linguistic and geographical history, the answer is no. The name itself isn't derived from them or their lands originally. Now, let me be crystal clear again. Acknowledging history, respecting indigenous rights, promoting their languages, addressing land issues, these things are absolutely vital. 100% yes. However, let's talk about why this naming issue often gets brought up so aggressively. Remember those initial critics I mentioned? While some of them might have genuine concerns, let's be real here. Often, folks pushing this the hardest are Chinese nationalists, weaponizing indigenous issues to attack the idea of a distinct Taiwanese identity, which they see as a threat. They claim to care about indigenous rights in this specific argument, but do they really? Here's a quick test. Just ask them these two things. 1. Do they support private properties being legally included within the scope of Formosan indigenous traditional territories? And 2. Do they support fully government-funded kindergartens in every indigenous community teaching only the indigenous language and no Chinese at all? Just ask these two questions and you can watch their alleged support for indigenous Formosan rights evaporate on the spot. It often reveals their true motive is attacking Taiwanese identity, not uplifting indigenous communities. So, are you comfortable calling Taiwanese Taiwanese? Does this history change how you think about it? It's complex, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it respectfully. And if you found this history dive interesting, give this video a like and share it with anyone curious about Taiwan's languages and history. Thanks for watching. 真感謝咱來收看，咱後擺閣再會。